Welcome to this deep dive. We're on number 10 now in our 15-part series, Wisdom Unveiled. And today we're taking a really close look at the philosophical legacy of Hakim Abul Qasim Ferdowsi.
That's right. And we're really being guided here by some fascinating conversations with Iranian philosophers, specifically Dr. Ebrahim Dinani and Dr. Esmail Mansouri Larijani from that program, Marfat.
Yeah, so our goal really is to move beyond just seeing Ferdowsi as the author of this epic poem. We want to explore him as, well, a profound philosophical and ethical thinker, using their insights as our lens.
We're trying to pull out the core ideas from these discussions to understand the Shahnameh, maybe, in a fresh way.
Exactly.
And just the necessary bit up front. This deep dive is a translation and reproduction of conversations with Iranian philosophers like Dr. Ebrahim Dinani and Dr. Esmail Mansouri Larijani. Some concepts or details may not be fully conveyed. We apologize in advance for any discrepancies. Your feedback and suggestions for improvement are most welcome.
Okay, great. So let's jump right in. The first thing these philosophers seem to do is push back against seeing Ferdowsi just as an epic poet or historian. They give him other titles, right?
Right.
What are they suggesting?
Oh, definitely. They call him a hakim, which is like a sage, a wise person, and a philosoph, a philosopher. And they stress he's both practical and theoretical in his philosophy. Plus, an adib, a master of literature, and importantly, a mosle ejtamai.
A social reformer.
Yeah, a social reformer. So it's a much broader picture than just poet. They're really placing him on a different level intellectually and ethically.
That really shifts the perspective. So not just telling stories, but shaping thought and society. And what about his great work, the Shahnameh? How do they describe it? Is it just, myths and history put to verse?
They use this really interesting term, sel mumtain.
Silamumtain. What does that mean exactly?
It means something that looks easy on the surface, like the language flows beautifully, it's accessible, but it's actually impossible to imitate. The depths, the structure, you just can't replicate it. And they see it fundamentally as a book of practical wisdom.
Practical wisdom. Hikmat amali.
Exactly, hikmat amali. But, and this is key, it's not just folksy advice. It's practical wisdom grounded in a really solid theoretical, philosophical base.
Got it. So real-world lessons, but coming from deep thinking. What do they say is the actual core subject of the Shahnameh then, beyond the kings and heroes?
Well, they argue it's really digging into the secret of existence, Razi Hasti. It's not just about what happens on the outside, but about the inner secrets, the inner reality of human being.
The secret of existence.
Yeah.
That leads us to a really profound point they make about the human condition itself, doesn't it?
It really does. They present this quite powerful image of where humans stand in the cosmos. We're sort of suspended, uniquely positioned between two vast infinities.
To infinity.
Yeah. On one side, you have absolute existence, Hasti, everything that is. And on the other, absolute non-existence, Nisti, nothingness.
Okay, Hasti and Nisti. Existence and non-existence, and we're stuck in the middle.
Kind of. But here's the crucial part. According to these philosophers, only humans are truly aware of this. We're conscious of being caught between these two. We know we exist, but we also know that non-existence is, well, potentially looming.
And that awareness, that's significant.
Hugely significant. They argue that this very awareness is the foundation, the bedrock for basically all human epic, all tragedy, and critically all ethics. Our struggles, our choices, our moral compass, it all stems from understanding our fleeting place here.
Fleeting.
Oh,
How do they describe life itself in this context?
They call it chansabahi, just a transient stage, a brief moment, really, that happens between those two big infinities.
Just a brief moment.
Yeah.
And what defines this moment, this life?
It's defined by constant tension, the interplay of dualities, good and evil, justice and oppression, light and darkness. These forces are always at play.
Right, the classic conflicts. Now, thinking about conflict, many people associate Ferdowsi heavily with war, right? The Shahnameh is full of battles.
That's the common perception, yes. But these philosophers really challenge that head-on. They strongly argue that Ferdowsi was, at his core, an advocate for peace and reconciliation.
Really? Despite all the fighting in the epic, is there specific evidence for that view?
Yeah, they point to lines attributed to Ferdowsi himself like the quote, "Peace is better for me than war."
Peace is better for me than war. That's pretty direct.
It is. And in their reading, that one line really reframes the entire epic. It suggests the focus isn't on glorifying war, but maybe lamenting its necessity.
So war isn't the goal.
Mm-hmm.
When does it happen then, from this perspective?
It becomes this regrettable necessity. A last resort, basically, that you only turn to when oppression is just overwhelming and every single attempt at peace or reconciliation has failed.
And they use examples from the Shahnameh itself to back this up, like with Rostam.
Exactly. They point straight to those incredibly tragic stories, Rostam and Esfandyar, and of course the heartbreaker, Rostam and his son, Sohrab. In these stories, Rostam isn't shown as, eager for the fight. He's reluctant. He tries to avoid it.
And afterwards?
Afterwards, he's devastated. He shows deep, profound sorrow. He even talks about it as a sin, doesn't he, after killing Sohrab?
Yes, he prays, Lord, do not hold this sin against me. Something like that.
Precisely. And it's that portrayal, the regret, the focus on human feeling rather than just battlefield glory that these philosophers seize on. They argue it shows Ferdowsi's underlying anti-war stance. It leads them to see the Shahnameh differently.
So how should we see it, according to them?
Not primarily as a book of war, but as fundamentally a book about peace, about humanity, love, and justice. The wars happen, yes, but they serve to highlight the tragedy and the immense cost of deviating from those core values.
That's a powerful reframing. And this idea of core values brings us to what sounds like a central pillar of their whole interpretation, this philosophical connection they draw out.
Yes, this is absolutely key for them. It's the intrinsic link they see between Rosti and Hasti.
Okay, Rosti and Hasti. We've heard Hasti is existence. What's Rosti? Can you break that down?
Sure. Rosti is a rich term. It means things like truth, truthfulness, righteousness, integrity, straightforwardness, being straight, not crooked.
Truth, rightness, straightforwardness.
Okay.
And that's connected intrinsically to Hasti, to existence itself. How does that work?
Well, they point to the specific verse from Ferdowsi that they see as capturing this. It goes something like, Lord of existence and also truth does not desire crookedness or deficiency from you.
Lord of existence and also truth. Wow, okay, links them right there in the line. So what's the implication?
The interpretation is pretty profound. It means that living truthfully, living righteously, embodying Rosti in your actions and being, that actually aligns you with the fundamental nature of reality. With Hasti, you're essentially moving in harmony with the way things truly are.
You're flowing with existence. And the opposite. What if you choose crookedness, injustice? Kaji, I think you called it.
Right, Kaji. If you choose Kaji, deviation from truth and rightness, it's not just morally wrong in a conventional sense. From this philosophical viewpoint, it's seen as actively moving away from true existence. It's leaning towards non-existence, towards negation. You're disconnecting yourself from the fundamental truth of being.
That gives doing the right thing a whole different weight, doesn't it? It's about aligning with reality itself.
So how does this deep idea connect to the epic's main hero, Rostam? Is he just this incredibly strong warrior in their view?
No, definitely not just that. They see him as much more symbolic. He's interpreted as a mazar, an embodiment, a manifestation of Rosti. He represents those core values they link to Iranian culture. Truthfulness, chivalry, photovat, straightforwardness, integrity.
So his famous, almost supernatural strength, that's not just muscles and fighting skill.
Exactly what they argue. His legendary strength isn't just physical power. It's seen as flowing directly from his alignment with Hasti, with existence, because he embodies Rosti.
Is there a specific verse for that idea too? There is, and it's beautiful. When he fell in line with the wave of existence, from him, the day of Rostam's strength came to his arm.
Fell in line with the wave of existence.
Yeah.
So his power is almost a result, a consequence of his ethical and truthful alignment. It's like an existential strength.
Precisely. It reframes heroism entirely. It's not just about might, but about rightness leading to might.
That's fascinating. Yeah. And where did this alignment, this Rosti, actually come from for Rostam? Do the sources pinpoint its source within him?
They do. They put a strong emphasis on Rostam's inner life, his piety, his worship, his deep reliance on God. That's seen as the true wellspring of his strength and his Rosti.
And there are examples of this in the Shahnameh.
Oh, absolutely. They highlight how Rostam consistently turns to prayer and supplication before big battles. The text mentions him praying and supplicating, and just as importantly, after a victory, he doesn't most. He shows profound humility and gratitude to God.
Right, like the descriptions of him putting his head upon the ground in thanks.
Exactly, and explicitly saying things like, this grace was from God the pure. His strength comes from God, and he acknowledges it.
And they contrast this humility with pride.
Yes, pride is singled out as a major vice. They quote lines saying, essentially, no vicious trait is worse than pride. So Rostam's humility, even at the peak of his power, is crucial to his character and his connection to Rosti.
And it's not just about prayer, right? They mention other aspects of his conduct.
Yeah, they bring up other details too, like his proper marriage to Tamina. It's noted that it was done correctly with a Mobed, a Zoroastrian priest. These aren't just random cultural details for them. They see these actions as reflecting a broader commitment to ethical and, well, religious principles. And the philosophers themselves, Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, often draw connections between these ethics in Ferdowsi and interpretations rooted in Quranic teachings and the al-Bayt, reflecting their own philosophical background.
So it's a whole pattern of righteous conduct stemming from inner piety. This focus on inner quality seems to lead to another important point they make about the Shahnameh's overall values.
It does. They really stress that Ferdowsi isn't just singing the praises of kings and rulers automatically because of their position. His focus is on praising fundamental human qualities, especially justice, fairness, and generosity, regardless of who displays them.
So it's less about the title and more about the character and actions.
Yeah.
About what you do.
Exactly right. The perfect example they use is the legendary Just King, Ferdowsi. There's this amazing line they quote, "Do justice and give, you are Ferdowsi."
Do justice and give, you are Ferdowsi. Not just like Ferdowsi, but you become him, in essence.
Precisely. You achieve that status, that true kingship, by embodying justice and generosity. The title itself isn't enough. It's about living the values.
That's a really powerful critique of power based solely on birth or position. And they even take it a step further, don't they? With that idea about the ruler's inner state affecting the world.
Yes, that's a fascinating deeper point. They mention these almost mystical ideas found in the tradition, that a ruler's inner purity or corruption isn't just personal. It can literally affect nature itself, like milk drying up in animals or musk losing its scent when the ruler is unjust.
Yeah.
It's a way of showing the incredibly profound connection they saw between the leader's ethical core and the well-being of everything around them. The required foundation is incredibly deep, way beyond just outward laws or actions.
It adds such a cosmic dimension to leadership ethics. Okay, so if we try to pull all these threads together now, thinking about Ferdowsi through the lens of these conversations with Dr. Dinani and Dr. Larijani, what's the big picture?
Well, seen through their eyes, Ferdowsi really emerges as more than just an epic poet. He's presented as a comprehensive sage, a hakim. His masterpiece, the Shahnameh, isn't just a collection of stories. It's layered with these incredibly deep philosophical, ethical, and even spiritual insights.
Well, it's much, much more than a chronicle of ancient Iran or a series of exciting battle narratives.
Far more. They present it as, fundamentally, a book of wisdom. A guide, you could say, rooted in that core philosophical idea we discussed. The connection between Rosti truth and rightness and hasty existence itself. It offers a kind of framework for living a life that's actually aligned with reality.
That's a compelling way to view it. As we wrap up this particular deep dive, let's just pause on that central idea for a second. This notion that aligning yourself with Rosti, with truth, with rightness, with integrity, is fundamentally aligning yourself with Hasti, with existence itself, and that this alignment is the source of real, genuine strength.
It's a powerful thought. So maybe here's something provocative for you, the listener, to consider. When you're facing a challenge or maybe a tough decision in your own life, perhaps a situation where the right path feels difficult or unclear, what might it actually mean to consciously try and seek out Rosti in that moment? Could deliberately choosing truthfulness or integrity or straightforwardness, even when it's hard, could that possibly unlock a source of strength? Or maybe illuminate a way forward that just wasn't visible before you made that choice to align? Something to think about.
Definitely something to mull over. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Ferdowsi's philosophical world as illuminated by these specific conversations.
And this was Deep Dive number 10 in our ongoing 15-part series, Wisdom Unveiled.
We really hope you found it insightful, and we hope you'll join us for the next one.